This is Barry Zalma on insurance. Today I'd like to talk about the California SIU regulations, which are probably the same as the regulations in almost every state. Those regulations contain what is called the SIU Compliance Review Office, and should be of concern to any insurance company doing business in the state of California. The primary responsibility of the Special Investigative Unit Compliance Review Office is to inspect insurance companies to ensure regulatory compliance with regard to the establishment, staffing, and operation of the Insurers Special Investigative Unit, the SIU. The office also is responsible for updating, distributing, reviewing, monitoring, and tracking the annual SIU compliance reports filed by over 1,100 insurance companies every year. The SIU regulations also require each insurance company to submit an annual compliance report to the Fraud Division, SIU Compliance Review Office. The SIU annual reports must provide adequate information and documentation regarding the insurer's anti-fraud operations, policies, and procedures, and anti-fraud training. The SIU Compliance Review Office provides the format and instruction for submission of the reports and reviews, monitors, and evaluates the completeness and timeliness of the reports filed annually. After completion of a review, an evaluation of the insurer's reports filed annually, the SIU Compliance Review Office considers various risk-based criteria for proper selection of insurers for SIU review. The risk-based criteria include, but are not limited to, prior SIU review history, including follow-up of audit findings and implemented recommendations, possible deficiencies or areas of non-compliance identified during examination of the annual SIU compliance reports, quantity and quality of suspected insurance fraud submissions to the Fraud Division, insurance that is risky and susceptible to fraud, thus negatively impacting consumers, producers, and insurers, the volume and nature of complaints received for a particular insurance company, market share of the insurance carrier and/or the California Department of Insurance Executive Directive. For example, during fiscal year 2010 to 2011, the SIU Compliance Review Office audit staff conducted 5 on-site audits of primary insurance companies, which included 20 subsidiary companies, for a total of 25 insurers. Of the 25 companies reviewed, 5 were authorized to write workers' compensation insurance in California. 2 of the 5 primary companies reviewed were out of state, and 3 were located in California. The SIU Compliance Review Office may be contacted at 9342 Tech Center Drive, Suite 100, Sacramento, California. Common findings of SIU compliance reviews that insurers should attempt to avoid include SIU inadequate or non-existent, suspected fraud not reported to district attorneys or the California Department of Insurance, Fraud referrals on Form FD-1 contain errors or omissions. Fraud referrals submitted were submitted on outdated forms. Written anti-fraud procedures were inadequate. The SIU investigation procedures were inadequate or non-existent. Continuing training was not received by the SIU. Anti-fraud training was not provided by the SIU to the integral anti-fraud personnel. Training records were incomplete or non-existent. The annual compliance report was delinquent. The annual compliance report was inaccurate or incomplete, and the third-party administrators contracted SIUs were not monitored by the insurer. Once an SIU compliance review is completed, a preliminary report or exit review report is issued to the company identifying proposed findings and recommendations. The insurer is given 30 days to respond and provide supporting documents and information, after which a final report of findings is issued to the insurer. The final report may show that all findings have been resolved and the company is in compliance with the SIU regulations, or that all or some of the findings still stand and the insurer is subject to legal action, including fines and penalties. Common audit findings of insurers include: the insurer did not report all incidents of suspected fraud to the Department of Insurance within 60 days of reaching a reasonable belief that fraud was being attempted. The insurer's SIU did not identify and investigate all incidents of possible suspected workers' compensation premium fraud. The insurer did not provide all verifications and/or source documents, such as premium audit information, to allow an adequate review of workers' compensation policy files. The insurer's suspected fraud referral forms to the California Department of Insurance had errors and/or omissions. The insurer did not submit all requested documents and/or information requested by the auditor, which affected the auditor's ability to conduct a complete review of workers' compensation, closed claims, and/or SIU investigation files related to the lines of business subject to review. The insurer's integral anti-fraud personnel did not refer all incidents of suspected insurance fraud to the SIU for investigation. The insurer's written anti-fraud procedures or SIU investigation procedures did not include all required topics, information, or instructions. The insurer's training materials for new hires, integral anti-fraud personnel, or SIU staff did not include all required topics or information. The insurer's continuing anti-fraud training was not provided to all SIU staff members. The insurer's anti-fraud orientation for new hires was not provided to all new employees within 90 days of commencement of duties. The insurer's annual anti-fraud in-service training was not provided to all integral anti-fraud personnel, and the insurer's SIU annual report was inaccurate, incomplete, and/or late. The California Department of Insurance provides on its website a video training program explaining the California Special Investigation Unit requirements, and which can assist the insurers and the integral anti-fraud personnel in understanding the SIU regulations and its requirements. An example of the work of the Compliance Unit in the year 2015 to 2016, the SIU Compliance Program completed an examination of 86 2014's SIU Annual Report documents of insurers determined to have remained non-compliant during calendar year 2014, which included integral anti-fraud orientation material and integral anti-fraud personnel annual anti-fraud in-service training materials for compliance with the California Code of Regulations sections 2698.35, .36, and .39. Insurers determined to have remained non-compliant during calendar year 2014 were allowed an opportunity to bring themselves into compliance on or before September 30, 2016, due date of the 2015 SIU Annual Report. The SIU Compliance Program plans to complete desk reviews during 2016 to 17 and 2015 SIU Annual Report document submissions of all insurers who did not have a desk review completed during fiscal 2015 or 2016. The SIU Compliance Office expanded the scope of its audits to include examinations of policy files and premium audit results when conducting SIU compliance reviews at companies which write workers' compensation insurance in California. This will provide for the identification of policies that may contain evidence of possible suspected insurance fraud and which may have warranted referral to the investigation of the insurer's SIU. The procedures also were intended to identify cases which should have been referred to the district attorneys and to the Department of Insurance's Fraud Division. Representative fines and penalties collected in 2015 include $20,000 from Entitled Insurance Company, $4,000 for Best Interest Financial, $30,000 from Ticor Title, and various others, all of which should concern insurers who fail to qualify their SIU with the Department of Insurance. All insurers admitted to practice insurance business in California must recognize that by the SIU regulations, the California Department of Insurance has made almost every employee part of what it considers the insurer's anti-fraud personnel. The California Department requires that the insurer or its Special Investigative Unit train all of the insurer's anti-fraud personnel annually and train all new hires within 90 days of employment. The purpose of this chapter of the Department of Insurance regulations was to fulfill the obligations of every insurer to comply with the SIU regulations. When deciding who needs to be trained, California insurers should recognize that the SIU regulations, originally enacted as emergency regulations in 2003, have been renewed for 3 consecutive years as emergency regulations and are no longer emergency regulations. All insurers are obligated to comply. Insurers, their lawyers, and all independent claims handlers must understand that the SIU regulations define the term integral anti-fraud personnel as, quote, insurer personnel who the insurer has not identified as being directly assigned to its SIU, but whose duties may include the processing, investigating, or litigation pertaining to payment or denial of a claim, or application for adjudication, or claim or application for insurance. The personnel may include claims handlers, underwriters, policy handlers, call center staff within the claims or policy function, legal staff, and other insurer employees, classifications that perform similar duties. Therefore, if the insurer has not trained its integral anti-fraud personnel annually as required, and if the insurer does not have a training program in force, the insurer is subject to a finding it is in violation of the SIU regulations, and that it can be fined or otherwise punished by the Department of Insurance for that failure. This video was adapted from my book, California SIU Regulations 2020, which is available as both a Kindle book and a paperback from Amazon.com. If you found this video to be interesting or useful to you or your colleagues, please pass it on. It's free. And please also subscribe to my YouTube channel, my Rumble channel, my blog, and my Substack publications so that you can be advised of future videos and future blog postings. Thank you for your attention.